Hello, my humans. Welcome back to Scenic Root Astrology. Makayla here, and we're going to talk about the Cancer Ascendant, okay? And your evolutionary journey of having a Cancer Ascendant. If you have not watched my video, What Does the Ascendant Mean? Like the very basic video, it's about 17 minutes long. Please make sure that you digest that video first so that you can have a basic understanding of what the Ascendant actually entails from an evolutionary perspective, okay? And then you can layer this video on top of the Ascendant video to, get a full version of knowing yourself on a deeper level, okay? So for you, Cancer's Ascendant, initially, right, to understand the ascendant is something that we're becoming over the course of our life. Okay. So we're slowly learning these qualities. We're learning to come into these qualities. We're growing into more mature versions of them over the course of our life. Okay. And it's also an instinctual response within our psyche and within our behavior. Okay. This isn't necessarily something that humans are always aware of that they have unless you're using the tools like astrology to better understand yourself, okay? Because the ascendant is often what other people are perceiving you, how they're perceiving you and how they're seeing you. And for us as the ascendant holder, if you're Cancer ascendant, you're not always aware that some of these qualities you're portraying, right? They're instinctually reacting from this place. Okay. So a lot of people will see you as a very warm, nurturing, comforting, inviting human being. Okay. And those are definitely qualities that you instinctually have. Okay. You're born with this ability to have these nurturing, comforting qualities. Okay. These parental qualities, if you will, either more masculine, more feminine, doesn't matter. Just this nature about you that, you're a caretaker. Okay. You're somebody who is very intuitive, very sensitive to the emotional needs of other people. Okay. You can be very sensitive to how other people are feeling. Okay. And what they're needing. Okay. So this can cause a Cancer ascendant to want to nurture and care for those that they love, that they care about. Okay. Cancer risings tend to very much gravitate towards family, protecting the family, okay, protecting the home, protecting your partner, okay, your relationship, your children, your pets, right? Things that you care about. This can even extend to feeling really protective, sometimes overly protective, even of those categories, and even extend it to, the community that you're in or the country that you live in. Okay. There can be a strong desire to, root yourself in these areas of life. Okay. Defending one's own home, right? Defending the country. And this is because, the Cancer is on the ascendant, right? So there's this warrior archetype that's underneath this need to protect things that make you feel safe, right? Things that make you feel safe, things that make you feel secure, or things that you want, you feel emotionally enmeshed with and belonged to. Okay. And these are good qualities to have, of course. Like we want to protect those that we love. We want to defend our home, we want to protect our family. These are very admirable qualities. I resonate. I have a Cancer moon, so I very much like want to protect my dogs or my children, like at all costs, very defensive over their emotional well-being and safety and security. Okay. And these are natural traits that Cancer ascendant, like you're going to have and you're going to embody. Okay. However, there could be times throughout the evolutionary journey where situations arrive, emotional enmeshment happens, right? Emotional enmeshment or connection, or that need for that emotional connection can get off balance, okay? Where it goes too far into, codependent type of dynamics, codependent relationships, overly enmeshed, overly emotionally enmeshed into something, where, then situations around, betrayal, right? A loss and abandonment can be met, right? When it comes to, the things that you're trying to basically wrap your claws around, right? Or protect yourself over. Okay. So there's nothing wrong if these dynamics come up. You're not unlovable. It's not um a poke at like your character or your worth, right? Or even like your identity itself, right? Because Cancer can really create their sense of identity around the origin of their family or their belonging, their sense of belonging, or where they're coming from, right? The roots, your ancestors, for instance, right? Cancer can, form the identity around that. If these situations come up, it's time, it's an evolutionary trigger actually for Cancer ascendant to come into nurturing your own self, right? And this is a part of your evolutionary intention and the evolutionary journey of having a Cancer ascendant, okay? Is learning to have healthy boundaries when it comes to your emotions and balancing the emotional realm within you, which is, very high, very intuitive, very sensitive, and learning to have strong emotional boundaries, okay, for yourself, right? And this is ultimately going to lead to emotional independence, okay? Independence. And that can kind of seem scary at sometimes, right? Depends where you are in your Cancer rising journey, okay? Um, because prior lives, it's quite often, and we'd want to look at your south node, and we'd want to look at the south node ruler, and we'd want to look at your fourth house, and we'd also want to look to your moon to deepen these layers of, your past life and early life conditioning. But there's a part of your evolutionary intention here is to remove yourself of emotional patterns that you once used to feel safe, okay, to have a sense of belonging or feel some safety or security, and and basically break apart and go in a new direction with these emotional patterns, okay, that once existed. Okay. And when you break apart and when you go in a new direction of developing healthier emotional boundaries and healthier emotional patterns for you, like being able to nurture oneself when things get rocky in a relationship or things get rocky on an emotional level within you, okay? Being able to self nurture yourself and remove your claws or your tenacity and your need to hang on to something for the sake of, it not feeling secure if you don't, right? It becomes a deconditioning process where you learn to actually pull back your energy, okay, and always come back to self-care, okay, self-care for yourself and not needing to rely on somebody else or something else to actually provide that role for you, okay? So it can seem like this sounds maybe like a little bit lonely at first, right? But it actually is building your emotional maturity, okay, and your ability to be emotionally independent so that you can show up in the family, in the community, for your country, right? In your relationships, right? You can be that nurturing figure and play that role, but not at the expense of your own well-being, first off, and also not at the expense of like if things get hard, that all of yourself is poured into something else, and so that when that thing either dies or it transforms or it gets rebirthed or it changes, the pattern changes, whatever happens, when the balance gets rocked, right? When your boat gets rocked, you don't lose yourself, right, in the waters. Okay, you're actually still on your boat. You still have your boat, your safety, if you will. Okay, you've built this shell around you of safety and security, and that is on your own ability to take charge of your own independence, right? Your own emotional authority and your own emotional independence. Um, so sometimes these things like trigger stuff like feelings of vulnerability. And sometimes when Cancer risings get triggered by their vulnerable feelings or their fears or their sense of security is poked at, there can be a need or an impulse to an instinctual impulse to retract, right? Retreat. So there's kind of like this introversion kind of dynamic that could come up, and it can be very instinctual right? An instinctual response, and it could be because, in a prior life, for instance, your home was attacked, right? It was taken away from you, for instance, right? So there's a trust issue, right? Or a vulnerability issue that happens, right? But the thing is Cancer rising, like you have to initiate out, right? You have to push this outward, this energy out still, because the ascendant essentially is Aryan under quality. It's a pattern of a new direction. It's going out in a new direction, right? And it's you're gonna have to push your boundaries a little bit when it comes to your emotional safety and security. However, when you have the right tools, um, to be able to take care of yourself, right? And know that, you're strong enough to handle anything that can come up that can, you know, infringe on your emotional world, okay? Because you want to break these karmic patterns, right? You want to go in a new direction here. And then this cultivates like a deeper sense of emotional self-sufficiency, right? Emotional self-sufficiency is really built over the long term, okay? So you're learning skills of like how to emotionally protect yourself while also being vulnerable and compassionate and having empathy, right? And showing up with love and showing up with care, right? And you're learning to do that for yourself too, right? It's going to be, through your environment that, these situations get triggered over your life, right? And they teach you different lessons around emotional sufficiency, self-sufficiency through different relationship dynamics, right? Whether that be in the home, whether that be with your children, whether that be with your family, whether that be with your country on a bigger scale. Some people definitely, are experience that, right? We right now, many people experience that, where um these dynamics, these vulnerabilities are being triggered, and they're having to balance, the need to protect oneself, but also while remaining, compassionate and open and soft, right? It's like, so you become this like soft, nurturing, like warrior archetype, and ultimately, I think a lot of Cancer risings develop really strong qualities of motherhood. Okay. And it's masculine or feminine. There's probably some type of interesting relationship with the caretaker that represented the mother. Okay. Whether it's the grandmother or the mother or so forth. There's probably some interesting dynamic there, interesting storyline that deepens your soul's lesson, right? Your evolutionary journey of what it means for you to come into, motherhood in this lifetime. And, not to like just play like male or female here, but like we all have masculine, feminine energy in our chart. And so we all have the need to learn in this lifetime to be the divine mother figure and be the divine father figure in our life, right? And that is a relationship to the divine mother and father figure of source itself, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and they have different lessons, right? And they have different dynamics, right? But for Cancer rising, a part of this is learning the emotional resilience, okay, that the divine mother archetype has, right? And I'm being called actually to say for my Cancer risings right now to, do some research on Mother Earth itself, right? And how Mother Earth is always able to regenerate herself, and she's always giving back, right? She's always resurfacing, like literally the surface of the land, right? Through like um storms and volcanoes and earthquakes, right? And what have you, all of the elements, right? But she also gives back, and she produces oxygen, and she gives us water, and she gives us food, right? And so you're learning to become this emotionally resilient, tough, but also like soft, nurturing force within yourself, okay? Without feeling dependent on others, right? Without having to put your safety and security in the hands of others, right? This is about your journey of a deep emotional independence in this lifetime, okay? And that's going to be some real deep soul work, okay? That's going to be right in the heart of the matter, right in the gut of the soul, right? There's going to be times where these emotions erupt for you, right? And they really challenge you, okay? and you learn to become really confident with your emotional maturity here and how you're able to handle these kind of dynamics in these situations, okay? And know that wherever you go, you are able to protect yourself. You're able to create your own safety, your own sense of belonging, and your own security because of that deep amount of independence that you have built, okay, that you've grown and evolved into, okay, over this lifetime. All right. So for my Cancer rising people, if this video resonated, please make sure that you give me a thumbs up. Please make sure you hit subscribe. This helps my channel grow. Feel free to leave any comments down below if this helps you. Also, one of the other things I do want to mention before I go is that because you're a highly sensitive, intuitive individual, and it's a very instinctual part in you, one of the other things that needs to be looked at is your ability to absorb, okay, your feelings and emotions from other people too. So the emotional boundaries, sometimes these waves that you might feel, they're not necessarily always your own, right? So, learning things like energy work is going to be super helpful for you so that you can connect to your emotional body on a very deep, deep, deep instinctual level. That will help you learn more and navigate your ascendant more, okay? Knowing when other people's feelings are kind of penetrating into your environment and if they're yours or they're not, okay? And who's, emotions you basically need to be responsible for and whose you don't, right? And ultimately just being responsible for your emotional sphere, right, within your body, okay? It's very important for Cancer risings to understand that and to kind of learn those lessons around energy work and what it means to protect your energy as well, okay? So anyways, thank you so much for being here, guys. Make sure that you share the video with other Cancer people who might need to hear this, right? Other Cancer risings. And yeah, I'll be back again soon. Thanks so much.